Salute, welcome to Wake Up the Black Nation. Richmond X, your urban war correspondent, signing on. And on today's show, I'm going to be talking about land reform in South Africa. Now, I did a video a few weeks ago, which has become very popular, about the South African president saying that he was going to take the land from the white farmers and return it to the native Africans. And this video has caused many white people, many Europeans to come on here and say some very disrespectful things about black people. And this is very interesting that Europeans are getting angry because they are being told that they need to go back home. White people, why do you feel the need to go all around the world taking people's land? And then when the people stand up and they say it's time for you to go, you start crying, you start getting mad, you start calling black people all type of horrible names. Well, the time is now that the white man goes back to his country. I believe white people, wherever you are at in the world, including the United States of America, you should return to Europe. You should return to the Caucasus Mountains, where you originated from, because you came to America and you stole the land from the native people here. You went to South Africa, stole the land from the people. You came there, colonized the people, enslaved the people, took control of the resources, took control of the minerals, had the people in bondage for many years. And now they're standing up and they're saying it's time for you to go home. And that's what you should do. That's what white people should do. And so I am in full support of land reform in Africa, because all over the world, that is the black nation's main problem, is that we do not control the land. And so you got black people all over the world who are going hungry because they're not able to go into the earth and bring the crops out. When you go to certain parts of South Africa, you have European people, white people, who live like kings and queens, while the majority of our brothers and sisters live in poverty. This is hypocrisy at its finest. You understand me? Why should the Africans continue to let white people live in luxury in their lands while brothers and sisters is starving? And so yes, it's time for the Europeans to go. They came as colonizers. They came as invaders. They did not come as friends. And I don't care if white people were born in South Africa or any parts of Africa. That still does not make them African. That still makes them invaders. Just like white people who were born in the United States of America. They're not truly American. They are invaders. They are colonizers. And so I salute the South African president for telling the white man to pack up his bags and go. Yes, they need to go back to Europe, because for every piece of land that the white farmers own, that land could be going to an African brother or African sister, a black family, so they can take care of their own and grow their own food and be self-sufficient. I have always been a proponent of the farm. I've always told black people that we need to go back to farming. We need to go back to agriculture. That's the number one thing that Africa needs to be focusing on in 2018 and beyond, is how can black people on the continent of Africa feed themselves without having to go to Europeans and buy food? How can every black man, woman, and child in Africa be able to farm the land and grow the crops and bring a harvest? Because that's what God created man to do, was to go into this earth and bring forth the crops. God did not create us to depend on men. God did not create us to depend on a piece of paper with the faces of dead white slave masters on it. God did not create us to do that. The original job of a man is farming. The original job of a woman is farming. And so we have to get back to that. It is essential, brothers and sisters. And the same thing goes for the brothers and sisters here in the United States of America. Black men and women only make up 1% of farmers in the USA. And so that gives the enemy the power to starve us out if they truly wanted to. And we can already see that they are using food as a weapon, not only in America, but in Africa. And so let me address you Europeans with your disrespectful racist comments that you are making towards black people, saying that if all of the white farmers leave South Africa, then the Africans will starve. Well, that is the dumbest statement that I've ever heard in my life. How do you think African people have been able to survive for the millions of years that they have been in existence? How do you think the African people were able to survive before the invasion of the Europeans? African people are master farmers. We have always been master farmers. We created agriculture. When you look at the Southern economy and you look at farming in the South, when you look at farming in the South during the slavery period, it was black men and black women who brought their agricultural expertise to the continent of America and helped to build up this continent during the slavery period. You understand me? When you talk about all of the rice cultivation in the South, who do you think was teaching the white man how to grow this rice? Who do you think was teaching these white plantation owners how to grow all of these different crops? It was black Africans. Why do you think they went to Africa and got our ancestors? Because they knew that they were master farmers. And if you go and do your research, you will see this to be true. But what happened was many of our people lost that agricultural knowledge once they were taken into bondage in Africa and here. We have gotten away from the farm. My ancestors were farmers, but my generation, we got away from farming. And so it's just like any other science. If the people don't continue to study it, then they will lose it. But it's completely disrespectful for you Europeans to sit up here and say that without the white man, black people will starve. No. Without the black man, white people will starve, because Africa has been the breadbasket of Europe for many, many years. White people were starving all over Europe. Where would Europe be without Africa? Where would Europe be if they were not colonizing the continent of Africa for all of those years? And so yes, African people, you must get agricultural science. You must train your men, your women, and your children how to go into this earth and bring the treasures out. That should be the #1 priority. You have colleges all over the world. Right here in the United States, you can send your children here to get that knowledge, wherever. But make sure that you get that knowledge, because if not, then the European is going to continue to try to have control over you through the food. They will continue to use food as a weapon. Salute, black family.